Well, hello, beloved. I am Bishop Andy C. Luter, and I'm delighted to come to you again with my video lecture series on church leadership. This series is designed for persons who are involved in or training for positions of leadership in the local church. Friends, I've spent a goodly amount of time developing material for people and officers like deacons and deaconesses, ministry leaders, auxiliary leaders, trustees, stewards, or any other persons who are desiring to hold a position of leadership in the local church. I pray that this material will prove fruitful and helpful and beneficial to you. The lecture will conclude, as always, with a series of questions that you can use to more fully prepare, comprehend, and even master this material. It is our hope and prayer that this material will be of benefit to you and that it will help you to be more effective in whatever position that the Lord has called you to do. So let's get started. And I'm moving now into a different section. This lesson is entitled The Apocrypha, Part 1. It's going to come to you in two parts. In some Bibles, there are 14 books that are located between what we normally refer to as the Old Testament and the New Testament. These books are known by a couple of different names. One of the names that is given to these particular books is intertestamental books because they are physically located between the Old and New Testament. Thus, the word intertestament. The other more common name that is assigned to this listing of books is the Apocrypha. Now, the Apocrypha is a Greek term that literally means secret. Sometimes the word is translated as hidden as well. These books are technically a part of the general narrative of the Old Testament, but takes place after the book that we call Malachi. Friends, in terms of history and how the books got separated from the rest of the Old Testament, one has to remember that all of these books were originally written in Greek, whereas the other books of the Old Testament were originally written in Hebrew. Now, follow me here. When Martin Luther would later in the 16th century translate the Bible from its ancient languages into German, he separated the books written in Hebrew from the books written in Greek. Over the years, these latter books were misplaced and eventually omitted from the King James Version of the Bible. While these books are available in certain English versions of the Bible, like the Douay-Rheims Bible, their absence from the more traditional English translations have caused some people to believe that they were not a part of the original Old Testament. The final name that is attached to this section of the Bible is Deuterocanonical, which means second law. Now, friends, one of the main narratives found in the pages of the Apocrypha is the story of the Maccabean revolt, which took place during the 400 years between the books of Malachi and the book of Matthew. In this narrative, the Syrian nation under its king Antiochus forbids the Jews from practicing their religion openly. A Jewish priest by the name of Matthias Maccabee leads a revolt against the Syrians and eventually is successful in ousting the Syrians from Jerusalem and the land of the Jews. Friends, what happens now is this secures Jewish independence, and the Jews live freely until the arrival of the Roman Empire. This story is found in the first books of the Apocrypha, which include the books of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and even 4th Maccabees. Now, friends, the reason the books are of interest to us is because it helps to explain features of the New Testament that have no mention in the Old Testament, such as rabbi, synagogue, Pharisees, Romans, Herod, and several other terms. The Maccabee family would eventually rise to the status of a dynasty, which would include the Maccabean dynasty, the Hasmonean dynasty, and finally, the Herodian dynasty. Each year, present-day Jews celebrate the victory of the Maccabees over the Syrians with a holiday called Hanukkah, which coincides with our Christmas celebration. The Apocrypha is considered sacred text by the Roman Catholic and the Coptic Church, but not by many Protestant denominations such as Baptists. Okay, this concludes this particular lesson. Let's look at some questions that will help us to master the material that we have just covered. Here are our study questions. Number one, how many books make up the listing of books that we call the Apocrypha? Number two, These books are physically located between what two sections of the Bible? Number 3, what is the second name that the Apocrypha is known as? Number 4, this second name can also mean secret or what? What is the third name that the Apocrypha is known as? Next question. Who was the Syrian king who forbade the Jews from practicing their religion? Next question. What was the name of the priest who opposed him? Next question. Name at least one dynasty that this family, during this particular period, produced. And then the final question, or next to last question, what is the name of the modern Jewish holiday that celebrates the victory of the Jews over the Syrians? Next, name at least one church that regards the Apocrypha as part of the Holy Bible. Listen, friends, I'm Bishop Andy C. Luter, and I want to thank you for sharing these last several minutes with me. I pray that it has been helpful. I look forward to sharing with you part 2 of this study on the Apocrypha. Listen, remember, God loves you, and so do I.